which includes Rudy Gobert, Miles Turner, LeBron, and Jamal Murray, was tweeted out, and Patrick Beverley replied with nothing but a laughing, crying emoji. What is he trying to say? Shannon, what do you make of his emoji reaction here?
Pat Bev still views himself as a top-notch defender. The problem is he's not, Skip. Pat Bev is, for my viewers out there, they'll know what I'm talking about. There was a movie called The Five Heartbeats. And Eddie King, he gave himself what songs called Eddie Kane. He had lost it, Skip. He had been drinking, he was on drugs, and he's coming back, and he thought he still had it. And he's singing for him, but he doesn't have it anymore. Everybody sees that he doesn't have it. Only he can't see that he doesn't have it. Pat Bev, Skip, his reputation now. Now, this is what Zach LaVine hit him for 45 in January. Steph went for 38 in January. Harden went for 37 2 weeks ago. Bradley Beal and Russ took turns last night. Skip, he's not the same guy. And just for this, he's on pace for the most fouls per 36 minutes by a guard since 2003. So as Russ said a couple of years ago, Pat Bev got y'all fooled. He out there running around doing nothing. Pat Bev got to understand he's not the same guy. He spent most of the time injured. He spends a lot of his time, Skip, on the bench because he's injured. Patrick Beverley was once an outstanding defensive player. I won't take that away from him, but he's high. If he thinks he's that same defender today as he was 4 or 5 years ago, and it's not even close. So I don't know what the laughing emoji, maybe he's like the names that are on the list is laughing, or maybe he's laughing that he's not on the list. Whatever the case may be, nobody in the NBA thinks Patrick Beverley is that elite guard defender, the on-ball defender that he once was. Skip, he was always a high foul guy. Look at, all you got to do is just check the fouls against him. But Skip, it's not even close. You look at the Clippers defensively, Skip, they're 15th in the defensive rating. They're 47th he's 47th in defensive win shares. I don't get where he thinks that those numbers, considering when you got Paul George, you got Kawhi, you got Serge Ibaka and Pat Bev, and you still a middle-of-the-pack defensive team? What's going on? I don't know what Pat Bev is. Maybe he hit the wrong button. Maybe he was trying to hit that sad button. Because, Skip, you know that Republican congressman, he voted against the bill, but he pressed the wrong button, and it's like he supported it. But, Pat, I don't know what you're thinking, bro. You're not that dog anymore. You're not that guy anymore.
Okay. My first issue with this topic is I don't love emojis because if you just put one up there, if you just post one emoji, it's so non-specific that you're not spelling out exactly what you mean. So, again...
Left for interpretation.
Right. You just leave it open. It's hazy. It's murky. It's like, well, is he talking about himself, or is he talking about Ben Simmons, or is he talking about LeBron? I don't know, because you're sort of hiding behind the emoji. But I also think that emoji getting that kind of reaction is vintage Patrick Beverley. And I am still very, very happy he is a Los Angeles Clipper, and he is still the heartbeat of this team because he's an irritant. And this is classic irritation because it makes everybody throw up their hands and say, what's he doing now? Who's he aiming this emoji at? Who is it? Is it Ben Simmons? Is he saying Ben's overrated? Or to your point, is he saying Patrick belongs on this list? Well, all I know is Patrick Beverley is 32 years of age, which is not too old to be a high-level defender, because what did we see LeBron this year at age 36? He snapped back out of it, and he went from a horrible defender 2 years ago in his first year in L.A. to he's been ranked #1 here recently in defensive win shares. Well, you don't think Patrick Beverley is capable of being a top 5 defender if he locks back down and locks in and gets healthier? When it's time to defend, Patrick Beverley can defend at a high level.
Well, it seems to me that you're the only one that's happy that he's still in the Clippers, because everything that I read is that the Clippers have been trying to get off him and Lou Will for the better part of 3 weeks. So it seems to be that you're happy, but I'm not so sure the Clippers feel that same way.
Well, all I know is he's not a point guard, and I told you Rondo would have been, and now Rondo's been hurt, so everybody stays. Guys with injury histories stay hurt, right? But
exactly.
Okay, so I don't think Patrick Beverley is the guy who can get you in order as a point guard. He can't facilitate the offense, get it, set it up where it should be like Chris Paul can. Chris Paul can just bring order to the flow of an offense because he is so gifted mentally. He can see it, set it up, and command it. And Patrick Beverley does not have that ability. But Patrick Beverley can get up in you. And I'll never forget going back, to early last year, it was the Christmas Day game. Remember, Patrick Beverley was on LeBron at the end of the game and managed to block his shot, a three to tie at the end of the game on the way up. Knocked it out of LeBron's hands and off the top of his head. Here it is right now. And out of bounds. Knocked it out of bounds. That's Patrick Beverley. And that's just sheer savvy and will and guts and irritation. And I'm sure it drove LeBron mad. And I think he lost sleep after this game because Patrick Beverley, who's 6'1", did that to 6'9" LeBron James. Well, that's what he's capable of in the biggest moments. So, yes, I'm glad he is occasionally on the court for the Clippers.
Skip, we got to stop thinking that because a guy makes a play here or there, he's a tremendous defender. That was a heck of a play. But you and I both know he cannot guard LeBron. They bring help. They double and get the ball out of LeBron's hand. Because if Patrick Beverley tried to guard LeBron for the entirety of the ball game, you know what would happen. They thought he could guard Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant dropped 50 on him. Zach LaVine dropped 45. James Harden just dropped 37 a couple of weeks ago. Steph Curry cooked him for 38. Skip, he's not that anymore. And that's okay. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but for him to think that he's an elite defender, Skip, even Paul George is not the defender that he once was. Kawhi is the defender that they once were. Because if you were, there's no way you would be 15th with Serge Ibaka, who was on the all-defensive team. Paul George has been all-defensive team. Kawhi has been that. Pat Bev, you got four guys that at one point in time in their careers were on the all-defensive team. Kawhi has been a two-time defensive player of the year. In your middle of the pack, you're an average defensive team. But look at their offensive rating. What are they, 2 or 3? So it shows where their focus is at. Their focus is not on the defensive end, Skip. And that notion that, they can just lock in when the rubber needs to reach the road, Skip. Why do they keep blowing these leads? If they have 15, 19, 17-point leads and blow them year after year, it was dark. Remember now, they had a 3-1 lead and had leads in every game, 5, 6, 7. And it was Doc's fault. Paul George threw him under the bus. Kawhi Leonard threw Doc up under the bus. The same exact thing is happening this year. Why? Because the one thing you changed coaches, you didn't change the players. And the same thing is happening this year that happened last year. You can't, but Skip told me, everybody was telling me, this is a really tough team. They got dogs. Wah, 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 wah. So maybe them dogs, maybe they hungry, they just not eating. Is that what it is, Skip Bayless? Talk to me now.
To quote the great William Shakespeare, methinks she doth protest too much. And in this case, he doth protest too much because I think you're scared of the Clippers because all you want to do is talk about the Clippers because you know they're coming up from the basement for your Lakers. And you know and I know if they can get and stay healthy, and they're not right now because Paul George is out again, but if you get Kawhi and Paul George healthy with Pat Beverley and the new pieces of the team, Ibaka and Nicholas Batum, who has helped settle down the offense, and all of a sudden, Lou Will, I don't know if you've been watching over the last 10 games, he's turning back into Lou Williams, Sweet Lou, not Lemon Pepper Lou.
Hold on, Skip. Skip, hold on, time out. I know they just didn't lose to the Wizards last night. You told me the Wizards were the pathetic team.
Okay, they didn't have Paul
about
George.
How bad LeBron... Well, we lost to it. We didn't have AD. You ain't say a word.
Well, you have the quote-unquote best player on the planet, the quote-unquote GOAT.
Now, whoa, what about Kawhi? What about that Terminator? Hold on, Skip. Hold on. Y'all was talking about Kawhi was better. You heard all the people that said Kawhi was better than LeBron? Oh, yeah. He won Finals MVP. He was the toast of the town. Everybody wants. He's better than LeBron. He can do this better than LeBron. Oh, he got a mid-range game. He shoot the three. He shoot free throws. How the hell you let that happen? You lost to the Wizards?
Well,
that's what you just told me the other day. LeBron can't lose to the Wizards.
Okay.
And guess what happened, Skip?
You lost at home to the Wizards. At home. Seriously?
Let me ask you a question. So let me ask you a question.
By the way,
so
that was the game. That was the game that you lost 5 cases of Diet Mountain Dew to me because they lost that home game. Way to go, LeBron.